One of the problems that we have when you're trying to move this equipment, the function that you perform, it's either by sea or by air. Air, obviously, is one that is that meets the needs because you don't have the time that you normally would have to be dealing with. But we also know the risk that's out there. We know the surface-to-air capability of the enemy. We know the air-to-air capability. We know those problems that exist, and as was pointed out by the chairman in his opening statement, we aren't able to handle the capacity by air, so it ends up being by ship. Then you have problems there too. So with the age of our fleets right now, 39 years for the ships, and then when you look at the C-5s, the C-17s, you look at what we're doing right now in Ticker Air Force Base, trying to take the KC-135s down to the skeleton and then just rebuilding them. How big of a problem do you see this today, and as you look into the future, to perform the functions that you're supposed to be performing with just the sheer age of this stuff? You know, the KC-46 won't be around for some time to relieve this. So what kind of a problem is this?
Senator, recapitalizing all of those fleets is a problem. Doing it underneath the budget constraints we've had will be nearly impossible. And also, we owe the Congress possibly better numbers. I have been part of propelling some numbers of tankers that are needed to provide help around the globe, numbers of ships. Well, our contested environment war game tells us that those numbers may not be sufficient because we have never, in the history that I can remember, planned for attrition of our logistics. And we haven't fought for 70+ years an adversary that can do that to us. And so age is one level of attrition. Enemy action is another level of attrition. Lack of sufficient maintenance so that it's reliable is another. And the tanker problem, if we're going to go after 12 airplanes a year of the KC-46 of recapping, that's going to produce risk long-term as these airplanes continue to age as we recap.
Well, that's true, and it's also, as you're making the decisions now, I can remember when we were making decisions on the C-17. Remember, we talked about at one time it was going to be 210, that it was going to be 100, and anyway, Cheney came along and actually increased that. But every time you make those changes, you are affecting risk, and that's the thing that concerns me. Now, the chairman brought out our reliance upon the private sector in some of these areas. I was reading in your prepared statement, and I'll just repeat it here. Unfortunately, U.S.-flagged international commercial fleet and mariner pool has shrunk over time. While we have contingency plans, further reductions may cause us to investigate other options, such as using more foreign-flagged international commercial vessels manned by foreign crews during the crisis of war. American shipping companies continue to reflag vessels to foreign nations, diminishing the size of our commercial fleet. Now, we had said that our commercial fleet should be able to take care of some 90% of the need. My concern is every bit as much the reliance upon the other countries as it is being reliant upon the private sector. Do you agree with that?
Senator, we have always been a nation that has had a large enough maritime fleet, and we've been a maritime country, and we've always had the ability to do that indigenous to U.S. flagged vessels.
Yeah, but that's what we've always been able to do. That's not the case now.
We are in jeopardy now. Now we're at about 80 ships.
So this is a new threat that wasn't there before, and I agree with that, and I'm concerned about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.